coffee to get you going when we're going to talk about the advantages of digitization. Welcome to the Digital Imaging Channel. I'm Will, and I'm going to tell you about 5 things that are advantages for you when you digitize your records. First up, saving money. Now, what I have here is a little example of how you can save money over the long term. A lot of times people think about saving money right away. Can happen, but with digitizing, usually it's a long-term effect. So I'm going to read from something I have on my screen because I can't remember these numbers. It's a lot of math and numbers here, but let's pretend that you have about 2,000 rolls of microfilm. Let's call it 5 million records, and you're accessing this microfilm every single day, about 2 hours a day. Let's say you have a staff of a few people, and they're spending about 2 hours a day on the microfilm. And let's say the cost of your employees is about $25 an hour. So at 2 hours a day, there are 264 business days in a year, give or take. That's about 528 hours per year that you're spending on microfilm records. And at that $25 an hour, that's $13,200 a year cost to use the microfilm. So now you decide to digitize, and let's say for 2,000 rolls, it's about a $40,000 to $50,000 project. You're thinking, $40,000 to $50,000, that's a lot of money. I can't spend that. Well, you're spending that every 3-4-ish years already, and you're going to continue to do that for the rest of time with your microfilm. But let's say you scan your records, and now your employees are spending maybe half an hour. It's probably going to be less because now digital makes it much quicker. But let's say you only get a 75% reduction in time spent finding records on those microfilm rolls, now digitized. That's about 132 hours a year you're still spending to find the records, and that's a cost of about $3,300. But you're saving about $9,900 a year. So you spend, call it $40,000 now, in about 3.5-4 years. If you only decrease the time spent by 75%, probably more, you're still saving about 10 grand a year. And then after that 4-year time frame or so, you're making money because you're not spending it on the hard copy microfilm. Again, going from about 2 hours a day to maybe half hour a day, now that everything's digital, that's probably at the minimum. You should be spending maybe 10-15 minutes finding records because you're not going to find the physical records, putting them on the machines, spinning up on the spools, printing out images, all that stuff. It's all a couple clicks away. So that's one way you can save money by going digital. There are a few other things like, well, what happens if you lose a record? That could be a bit costly. Having a digital copy and a backup can protect you from that. So there's some other things that go into cost, but the main saving money topic that's usually discussed is, how's this going to help me in the future? All right, what else is an advantage of digitization? Well, you can increase efficiency. This ties right back to that cost saving. If you digitize and you're spending time on hard copy records, be it microfilm, microfiche, paper files, or whatever it is, once you have these in digital, you can eliminate all that physical hassle of, let me go find it. Maybe it's in a cabinet, got to pull out a drawer, got to pull out a file, shuffle through some papers, look around for stuff, scan it, send it to someone else, then refile it, and then let's say you have to move an office or move a room, you have to deal with all that. You can eliminate all that with digitizing because now you can it's all stored either on your own network, maybe in the cloud, through a secure application. You can just access it digitally. You don't have to deal with the physical files, so you immediately increase the speed at which you can find records and then do whatever you need to do with them. That's benefit number 2. Another advantage is you can sort of ward off the risk of natural disasters and other things like document theft or destruction. So it's not really thought about a lot, natural disasters when it comes to records. Some people think about it a lot more because maybe they're in an area prone to natural disasters, like maybe Floridians think about hurricanes and not having their records in basements because of a flood. In California, a lot of fires and earthquakes. Some people have lost entire rooms of records because there was a fire or an earthquake destroyed part of a building and the records were destroyed. There are a lot of other ways you can lose records, but when you're thinking about natural disasters, You can avoid that by having a digital copy because it's in the cloud. You can access it from anywhere. If there is a natural disaster, your people can't come into the office, they can still access those records digitally. Now, document theft and destruction, it's kind of hard to prevent an employee from, let's say, you have a cabinet of files, going in there and just shredding something. You can lock the cabinets, you can do other things like secure rooms and permissions, but at some point someone can get to those. That is true in the digital world as well, but it's easier to make backup copies, and with the security and permissions access through digital systems, it's a little easier to prevent someone just going in and removing something. Because even if, let's say I have permissions to a file, I go in and I delete it and say, I'm really going to take this company down. They could have a backup copy that I don't have access to, so I can still remove one copy, but then there's a digital backup. That's doable with physical copies. You can make backups of microfilm, hard copies. You can make physical backups of paper records, but it's a lot of effort, takes up a lot of space, and it's just a hassle of physical records that you won't have if you digitize. That's the third advantage. Fourth advantage, while you're modernizing your organization, you're not using the hard copies at least as much anymore. It's kind of hard to say that paper will ever really go away, or hard copy records in general will ever really go away, but you can move the team forward by digitizing, just getting that little extra bit of productivity by maybe having workflows with digital applications and digital records, and not having let me go to the file cabinet to go look up that client, whatever it is. Having digital records does modernize your organization, and especially the direction that the world is going in, kind of moving everything towards digital. You don't want to be left behind by having those physical records. And the fifth advantage of digitization is saving space. If you don't have physical records, you don't have to worry about storing them anywhere. If the room you used to use for your boxes of files, now you can use that room to put an employee in there that can help you generate revenue or generate productivity or whatever you need them to do, instead of just a room full of boxes that is sort of taking up space. That's all. Now, even if you digitize records, you may want to keep them still. Some people like to keep them, some like to destroy them, but at least you have the option of kind of doing one or the other, or you can at least get them off-site. If you're accessing your records on a constant basis, having them off-site is not feasible, so you'd have to keep them close. Once they're digital, let's say you still need to keep a hard copy, you can at least get it to an off-site storage facility because you're accessing the digital copies on a daily basis. So those are some advantages, 5 advantages for digitization. It doesn't cover every advantage, but it does cover the main ones that we see with a lot of our clients. They all kind of tie together. You can see there's some threads of, well, if I'm increasing efficiency, that ties to cost and also saving space. They all tie together, of course, but they are distinct in their own ways. The overall message, though, is digitizing records does have advantages for most people. Can't guarantee it. Can't say that you must digitize and it's the best thing for you, but for most people, it is a good step forward. So I hope you enjoyed that quick video about the advantages of digitization, and we hope to see you next time on the Digital Imaging channel.